We're only a couple of games into the domestic season, so it's hard to kind of draw too many conclusions, but on first impressions, how pleased are you with the hunger and desire of your players into winning games?
No, I'm delighted. Can't ask any more. 7 goals at home and then 5 away. I mean, it's a remarkable standard that they're setting already. So yeah, very, very pleased obviously, and we've negotiated a couple of European rounds quite well as well, so yeah, we're in a good place at the minute.
Your team have set a high standard in these opening games, but you get a sense that across the season you may have to reach a very high standard to try and repeat your success of last year, because the competition may be increased?
Possibly, yeah. That's what every team wants though. They want to be challenged. I think these boys enjoy the challenge, and the mentality is good. I think it's going to be very difficult to again replicate what they've done over the past 3 seasons domestically, but you never say never with these boys.
We've never, not for a good while, had this sort of tit-for-tat back and forth between Rangers and Celtic for a few seasons where one wins, the other wins, and what you do can do better. First 2 games you've kind of had that. Is that a different dynamic to deal with as a player? You've experienced it during your time.
I don't know if it's a different dynamic. We don't look at other results, and we don't. We obviously have had a very hectic and heavy schedule so far, and we've got another game tomorrow night, which is a European game, by the way, so I'm here to talk about that. We take each game as it comes, and we know that on 2 fronts at the minute we're battling away to stay ahead of the game really. I'm delighted with the 2 league games, and obviously delighted with the away draw in Cluj as well, which wasn't easy.
On that European game then, do you find you have more sleepless nights and more concerns about these qualifying games than you do the opening league games because of how much rides on?
Well, there's a lot of importance on the game obviously, so it's a real balancing act from concentrating on the league and then flipping it back over to the European games as well, and it's a very short turnaround, but we're in good condition. The players have worked hard pre-season, and we're seeing the benefit of that now. But the mentality is good, and the quality of our play has been absolutely excellent. So we're looking forward to another big European night at home, and good crowd and good atmosphere that they can feed off.
It's been a good dilemma to have that you've got so many players scoring goals in your squad as well. It's not they're off the bench and they're from midfield or from defence. It must be a good headache to have in terms of your selection for tomorrow night.
That's a fantastic start, and it's all down to the players and the way they're contributing and training and bringing that into the games. Yeah, sometimes it can be a selection headache, but it just shows that we've got when called upon, strength and depth that can come on, hopefully add to what we're already doing, or maybe change a game for us as well. Look, not every game we're going to win 7 or we're going to win 5, we know that, but we're delighted with the start that we've made.
Start down saying you may be facing a physical battle tomorrow. Is that what you're expecting in terms of how Cluj set up and how they're going to come away from home needing to at least score 1?
Well, they're a big strong team, they've got good pace in certain areas, and they're direct, and they're threaded set plays. So yeah, I mean, the physical side of the game is part of the game. I don't think it's going to be over physical. The game wasn't in Romania. I think there was plenty in the game the first leg to suggest that we could hurt Cluj in certain areas, so that's what we'll be trying to do.
You, as a player and a manager here, you've tasted great Champions League experiences. How much does that kind of feed your hunger? I know there's another game to get through after this leg, but does that kind of just swell up in you, and you really want to be there, you really want to be part of that? Yeah,
again though, you can't look too far ahead, and we know that it can flip very quickly, the positives and the negatives, so we're mindful of that. It's just important. I'd love us to be on the big European stage. I think it's good gravitas for the club, but we have to earn the right to be there, and Cluj will be hungry. You can see by some of the sound bites coming out from them what the game means to them as well, so we have to match that hunger and then earn the right to play, and then really play with a purpose and a forcefulness, particularly at home.
Does it frustrate you when you hear other managers, Dan Petrescu's seemingly come out and said that he expects that you to get all the favourable refereeing decisions? I mean, a bit kind of mind games again creeping in, but does that frustrate you as a manager, almost kind of no need for it?
No, just ignore it, because we've had a fair share of decisions go against us in Europe over the years, so I thought the referee was excellent in the first leg, so I've no complaints over any of the refereeing performances that we've seen so far. And I don't think there's any bias from the referees either.
How's your squad looking? Any doubts? Everyone fully fit?
Yeah, everyone's fully fit. Yeah, Hatem, he'll come back into the squad now, and Jozo obviously from the weekend. So it's good to have those two, back in contention.
There's been a lot of sort of talk about the amount of goals you've scored, but when you look at the last 2 games, you've come from behind as well against Cluj and against Motherwell. Is that a big encouragement for you?
Of course it is, yeah. I mean, ideally you don't want to concede first, but the reaction, even in Sarajevo, when it goes down, the reaction has been very good. Not surprising. However, we know it's important that we don't concede tomorrow night at any stage of the game, really. So, yeah, the reactions has been excellent, and hopefully we can keep a clean sheet tomorrow, and that'll give us a great chip. Well, we know we'll go through if we do that.
There's been reports of Sporting linking Zenit St Petersburg for a move for James Forrest. How important for you is it to hold on to James?
Well, he's another one that we don't want to go. He's a big player, big goal scorer in games. He's been here a long time. He's under contract. It doesn't surprise me, or there's no confirmation of that. It's just speculation, but it doesn't surprise me. However, from my point of view, we want James here, and he's happy here as well.
It's especially important to hold on to people like him and Callum McGregor that know the club so well and have come through the youth system after Kieran.
It's just important to hold on to your better players. We've already sold one, so we don't want to sell any more. And we're looking to add to the squad rather than sell any more of our important players, and James certainly falls into that category.
How are you with adding to the squad?
Just quiet at the minute. Nothing at the minute.
Not spending that £25 million?
Not yet, no.
How's the squad reacted? Obviously, Kieran, I imagine, is a big character in the dressing room. How's the squad been with his departure?
He was in yesterday. He popped in, and everyone was delighted to see him. So he got a nice farewell from the players, and yeah, it was emotional for him, obviously. But the players get on with it now. That's what you do. You roll on. He's going to be a big miss, obviously, but there's an opportunity there for someone else to take on the mantle now.
When you're in a transfer window like this and a player moves, that calibre of move, is that an advert for Celtic in this move, that you can now use that for other players to say this is where you could be in the next 2 or 3 years' time if you let the club work its magic?
I think we've done that over the years, particularly the past 5 or 6 years. We've brought in some, not only through the academy, but some unknown players, if you want to call it that, who have gone on to do some great things in the game. So yeah, I think it's he's just another symbol of the work that's done with players and developing players and turning them into excellent players. That's part of the remit of being here.
Does that kind of big amount of money coming in though create a problem, as much as some supporters would look at it and say, you've got 20 odd million quid here, go and spend it on 4 players, bring them in, spend 7 million on each of them? Do you know what I mean? Invest it in a big way, but on like a big game-changing investment, if you want to call it that.
Well, we might do that.
Is there
no one's saying we're not doing that, but we're not going to go out and maybe break the transfer record, but we will look to add quality to the squad, and no one said that we're not going to spend some of the money. I would imagine we may not spend all of the money, but we'll spend some of it, I'm sure.
You said that there had to be exits before you could bring anyone. Anything closer there?
No, again, it's just been quiet over the weekend.
And there was reports in the paper today linking Greg Taylor to the club. Is he a player that you admire?
I'm not going to talk about a player who's contracted to another club. I mean, I can't control the media speculation, and I can't control players being linked with us and players leaving the club. I'll only speak when they maybe sat here in front of me. I think it's very unfair on any player to talk about them when they're contracted to another club.
Neil, how pleased have you been with Jam's reaction since he's came back?
Yeah, I'm delighted. I thought he was superb on Saturday and got better as the game went on. I'm actually quite surprised how fit he is, considering he had such a short layoff and he had to play in the Euros for France. But we had a little chat and he's never looked back. He seems in a good place and seems happy. And again, he's a real asset for us, when he's on top form, and the key for Ollie now is to maintain that consistency.
Seems to have found a real focus. Do you think there's a key to keeping him in that kind of mindset?
Again, it's down to the individual, and obviously we want to work with him. He's a talented player. I enjoy watching him, and he lost a little bit, with the injury last year. I think it's important that he reinvents himself and finds those levels of performance which he's shown so far, and we know what he's capable of.
How good can he be if you keep him fit and concentrate?
Well, it's a good question. I mean, I think he's very talented. He's got so much to this game, and he just has that bit of je ne sais quoi. You like that, Mark? Yeah. He's got a bit of the maverick in him at times. He's got great talent, and vision. And I thought, as the game wore on against Motherwell, he was exceptionally good. So just more of the same. That's what we want, more of the same. That's the type of player that we want at Celtic. There's a real flair about him, and maybe he can add the defensive side of his game as well. He's a big, strong boy.
Was Mickey Johnson fit?
Mickey's fit, yeah. So he'll be in contention to start.
Guys, apologies if you've been asked this already, but there seems to be an incident after the game between Scott Sinclair and one of the members of staff at Motherwell. Have you spoke to him about it just to clarify what happened? And
I just think it was a bit of a misunderstanding, really, and I think we've spoken with Motherwell, and I think it's a bit of a storm in a teacup, which is usually the case in Scotland.